All right. Well, everybody, it's great to have the Prime Minister of Canada back with us again. Prime Minister, I want to acknowledge you for the third consecutive year. You've been at the Sustainable Finance Forum because I know you believe in this work. And it's great to have you back, and it's great to be able to have a chat with you.
Well, listen, Ryan, it is so exciting to me, although when I found out we were doing an armchair discussion, not a speech, I was delighted because you and I have had so many good conversations about this over the years, as you have been a driving force on this Sustainable Finance Forum. The amount of conversations we've had, the amount of pitches you've made to caucus over the years, bringing this together bigger and bigger every single year is a huge achievement. Thank you for your leadership on this, Ryan.
Thank you, Prime Minister. That means the world to me. And just for the record, my daughter and I think it's cool that you took your daughter to the Taylor Swift concert.
It was pretty cool, I'll admit that.
Good dad.
It was a lot of fun.
Look, I want to start off by asking you a question about the moment we're in. Because the world is certainly, people in Canada, but around the world, are facing struggles with the cost of living, what has been historically pretty high inflation, global instability. There's a lot of anxiety out there. And some politicians out there are saying that we can't afford to continue down the path of serious climate policy and climate action. You know, what do you think about that assertion?
Well, I think, first of all, there's a level on which it's understandable because people around the world are facing massive disruption, real change, lots of anxiety about not just the future, not even just the short-term future, but about the present as well. You listed a few things: geopolitical instability, economic disruptions. We went through a massive global inflation crisis. We're still reeling from certain of the after effects of COVID. Climate change is hitting harder and harder in an immediate way. People are seeing AI and the rise of new technologies, disruptions in everything they're doing. People are anxious. It's understandable. And right now, when people are squeezed every single day at the grocery store, in paying their rents, in thinking about whether their job's going to hold them to retirement, what their kids are going to do, it's really easy to scare people into being even more anxious and thinking even more short-term and more limited. The challenge with that is the pressures we're facing are not going to go away. They're only going to get worse, particularly around climate change, which will worsen every other challenge we're facing, whether it's geopolitics, whether it's economic pressures, whether it's supply chains, whatever it is, migration challenges and the like. Climate change makes it all worse. So people are stuck in a situation where they know climate change is bad, but they also know that if they can't put food on the table this week, and if they can't stabilize their living situation this year, how bad it's going to be 10 years from now, or how terrible it'll be for their grandkids, has to fall second to taking care of their family, their loved ones, and themselves right now. And that's where the old story that has been told for far too long, that there's somehow a choice to be made between either you invest in the economy and you take care of affordability and economy, or you take care of climate change, but you can't do both. You get a hit on one in order to do the other. Those are thinking both on the left and the right, where the far left will say, no, 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 we've only got to do climate change, we can't think about the economy, or the far right will say, no, 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 we can't worry about climate change, maybe it doesn't even exist, we have to double down on the economy and the affordability. Everyone in this room is in this room because you know, like most Canadians do, that you can't have a plan for economic growth and opportunity if you're not fighting climate change and caring for the environment at the same time, not in the medium and long term, and that's what governance matters. And you can't actually fight climate change unless you allow yourselves the economic tools to bring that fight to bear. And that's where making sure that it's not just about, oh, we have to stave off the worst effects of the extreme weather events that are going to hit 10 years from now, 20 years from now, therefore we have to spend now or it's going to cost us billions, which is absolutely true, trillions, which is absolutely true. It's framing it much more as fighting climate change right now, doing things responsible around the economy right now, is going to help you right now, in your job right now, in your family finances right now, in how you feel right now about the future. And that's where this room and the economic solutions and the entrepreneurship and the innovation that so many people are driving right now is so important to be celebrating.
Well, I couldn't have said it better, and I'm glad you're saying it. As the leader of the governing party of this country, it's good to hear the insight that you bring to the way that you lead the government. And I really believe in what you've just said, which is that it's a false dichotomy.
It is, but it's not just a theoretical, oh, we should figure out how to do this. We're actually figuring out how to do this at the same time. I mean, the affordability challenges, I mean, everyone in this room knows that we have put forward one of the most ambitious climate plans this country has ever seen. But unless we're actually showing Canadians that we also understand the pressures of cost of living, the concerns about making ends meet right now, we don't get to continue to lead on fighting climate change. But more than just the grocery rebate and the support for workers that we've announced recently, at the core of our climate plan was the idea of putting a price on pollution. We know that's a market-based solution. If you want less of something, put a price on it. We don't want less pollution, so we'll put a price on pollution. And then businesses and Canadians can figure out how to save themselves money by reducing their pollution. It's a very simple, well-established principle. Now, if we were to design a price on pollution from scratch that was targeted at making the biggest difference in emissions and innovation and technology, we would take the price on pollution, the benefits from the price on pollution, and we would pour them straight into innovation, to competitivity, to businesses that were creating those solutions. We would take the money that comes in from the price on pollution and we'd double it and triple it into the kind of changing of our economy that we have. We didn't do that. We didn't choose the most efficient way to fight climate change with our price on pollution. What did we choose to do instead? We chose to say, this won't hold even through one election, let alone the 3 elections we won on, unless the middle class, unless hardworking Canadians feel that the sacrifices they're making, as everyone is, to fight climate change, also recognizes that they can't be out of pocket. So by putting a price on pollution that 100% returns to Canadians what they spent and even more, so average Canadians get more money from the Canada Carbon Rebate than it costs them with the price on pollution. It's a check they get 4 times a year. And our decision to do this is because maintaining support for fighting climate change while we're dealing with affordability was essential. And that is why I am still optimistic as Canadians begin to understand and see those Canada Carbon Rebate checks come in every single 3 months, understand that getting rid of the price on pollution actually gets rid of the money that's put in their pocket every 3 months that is better than the price actually costs them. So keeping affordability at the heart of everything we're doing for the environment is not just a nice to have, it is necessary to have if we're going to hold the political consensus to act on fighting climate change.
It's almost like the core message is you can have it both ways, which is the message in our new advertising campaign around the Canada Carbon Rebate.
But that's been the message that each and every one of you, with your entrepreneurship, with your innovations, have been putting forward. You can make profits and grow the economy and hire workers and do good while fighting climate change at the same time. And anyone who's saying, no, 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 you can't do both, just has to look at some of the stories in this room and in people innovating across the country around sustainable finance to see that it's the only way forward.
Prime Minister, last year when you came to the forum, we were backstage. On our way up, you and I met in the back, and you sort of looked at me as you came up, and you said, wow, Ryan, there's a lot of people here. And you said, way to go. And I said, yeah, thanks, Prime Minister. It's because of you and your leadership. And then you said, it was a funny moment for me at least, you said, what do all these people kind of want? Like, what is their ask? And I said, well, at that time, it was really clear that we wanted to get a green and transition taxonomy over the finish line, and we wanted mandatory climate disclosures.
Yeah, no matter how often I tell Ryan, stop pushing anything with the word tax in it, he keeps pushing for a taxonomy.
Yeah, it was kind of a nerdy moment, but I know that we've called it sustainable finance guidelines.
Yes,
and
that's a much
little
better thing to explain to people.
But like, look at the room we're in. They all know
You
what
get what a taxonomy is, yes.
But Prime Minister, can you confirm that the work of these people in this audience made a difference in terms of getting that? Because we announced that taxonomy, those disclosure requirements in October as a government. It was great that Deputy Prime Minister was there at PRI in person, their conference in Toronto, and announced it in October. Can you confirm for this audience that it was directly related to their advocacy and their voice?
Oh, it absolutely was. I mean, listen, anytime we're bringing in new guidelines or governments saying, okay, this is how we're establishing the playing field, we need to make sure that it is getting real support. Despite what people may think, governments don't like bringing in new regulations, don't like bringing in new frameworks. But when people like you have all said, no, 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 this is about clarity, this is about transparency, this is about accountability, this is about knowing, and being able to defend what you're doing as the right things to sort of push aside the bad actors. It's about demonstrating that this is something that we can't just quietly do, but that we should stand up strongly and lead and demonstrate how successful it is. And for that, there needs to be rigor around protecting and upholding you in everything you do. So that's where creating clarity and standards and guidelines and a framework within which there is a level playing field that actually highlights the benefits in a tangible, concrete, measurable way of everything you're doing, that is essential to actually getting more and more people outside of this room to buy in. Because I know that first people who get involved with sustainable financing, with this kind of investments, these kinds of initiatives, are doing it because you believe on a moral and ethical level that it's the right thing to do. The first adopters are the ones who are like, I don't know whether I'm going to make money out of this, but it feels like the right thing to do, so I'm going to do it. But as you do that, and as you make money off of it, more people who maybe aren't as driven by the moral imperative as others are saying, oh, actually, look at that. This is a way to respond to real needs out there, to a market that's out there, to people that want certain thresholds to be met or want to do something that's good. And even though they may be less driven to environmental activism, they're very driven to create profitable solutions that they can put into the market and succeed with. And that's where the guidelines, the taxonomy, actually helps. So it's very much all of you pushing for it that made it happen.
Yeah, and we've done so much as a government. We've done investment tax credits, we've done the Canada Growth Fund, we've changed the competition laws, to prevent greenwashing. So it's all these things kind of hang together, right, to create a system of incentives and rewards and to create the enabling conditions for capital to flow. But how do you think all those things sort of make our economy stronger in a way that Canadians can really understand?
Well, first of all, I mean, showing people that it's real and that it works is a key part of it. But then when you look at citizens, when you look at how much more care people are taking around, okay, is this granola bread I'm buying for my kids actually good for them? Where was it made? What's in it? We're thinking about our consumption choices. How can we contribute to a better world by being smart, by not breaking the bank on it either? People are being more deliberate and thoughtful in their choices, and they need to have those options. They need to know if something says, oh, this is a green approach, that it actually is going to be valid and they're not just being taken advantage of, because we know there's a lot of very clever marketing out there. And having a level of credibility and demonstrability in what we're doing and what is solving is about not just reassuring customers, but allowing them to demand a better level of, full outcomes or triple bottom line in everything they do. Because people want to be doing the right thing, they just can't afford to do it if it doesn't align with their own priorities, if it's not worth it for them. And that what is worth it? Is it just greenwashing? Is it not? That's where a rigorous set framework actually helps them with that. So allowing people to feel good about what they're doing and allow them to have agency in the fight against climate change, even while they're doing their everyday purchases, their everyday activities, their everyday consumption. These are things that we have to fold in much better. People are out there trying to still put them in opposition, and until people understand it is possible to have it all, it is possible to have a win-win, it is possible to have a better quality of life and less impact on the environment and build a better future for your kids and do it in an affordable way, that's what people want. And developing that credibility around that, which is something that Canada has been working on doing. We know that if a product shows up with a maple leaf on it anywhere around the world, people are reassured, oh, it's made in Canada, then I can be sure that it's made properly, that it's done well, that it's done sustainably. I mean, we're not quite there yet, but Canada has a very strong brand around the world. We need to keep boosting that, and this is one way of doing that.
Yeah, it sounds like it's about values. It's about core values. It's about buying with your values. It's about investing with your values. It's about running a business with your values and putting those first. You know, Prime Minister, I know your time is limited. You've got a busy schedule. I really thank you for being here. But I've got to ask you one more question. So while we have such a big room full of leaders that are creative, that are smart, beyond belief, that are collaborative and entrepreneurial, do you want to issue a challenge to this group? Because I think networks and coalitions of people are incredibly powerful at moving systems and making systems change happen. Governments can't do it alone. Do you want to issue perhaps a challenge to this group?
I guess the challenge I put to you is a challenge I put to myself every single day. How can we be ambitious for ourselves and for this country at a time where everyone is stressed out and on the edge of freaked out? How can we figure out how to solve these challenges? How to inspire Canadians to step up and step forward and be those solutions we need? Because we can do this. I don't mean we, the government, can do this. I mean we, everyone in this room. We as Canadians. We have all the tools. Whether it's the strong safety net and the opportunity for Canadians to innovate, to tackle big challenges, whether it's the resources, whether it's the knowledge economy, whether it's the trade deals with the world, Canadians are forward-thinking, ambitious, and ready to work really, really hard to deliver for their families, for their community, for their country, for their future. That's our natural state. It's how we make it through every winter. It's how we live in a country that's too big, too empty, between too much distance between spaces. We learn to pull together. We learn to lean in and roll up our sleeves. And right now, there are a lot of forces around the world trying to knock us down. Tell us everything's broken, tell us that you can't fight climate change and deliver affordability. We can't stand up for the values and principles that actually unite us. We're just being divided and falling by the wayside. And Canadians are starting to fall into, or have been tempted to fall into, despair and division and anger. But that's not who we are. And I know when I see and hear of the innovators and the thoughtful leaders in communities large and small, with solutions large and small across the country and increasingly around the world, I get inspired. And more than just inspiring me, you inspire people around you, your employees, your customers, your communities. How can we be optimistic once again for this country? We have all the advantages. Those of you who've traveled around the world, those of you who've come here for this conference from other places, know that Canada has so many advantages. You know, whether it's a stronger economy than other people in the G7, we have the strongest growth projected, even more than the United States for next year. We have lower deficit than anyone in the G7, a lower debt to GDP ratio. We're drawing in more foreign direct investment per capita than any other G20 country. There are a lot of people looking to see what's happening in Canada and excited about it, whether it's with our 80% clean energy grid, whether it's with our critical minerals and natural resources, whether it's with our trade deals, like I said. But fundamentally, our advantage is Canadians themselves. Optimistic, hardworking, forward-thinking. We've lost a little bit of that over being knocked around over the past few years. And the challenge I have for all of you is a challenge I give to us as a team and to Canadians in general. How do we get over this funk? How do we get more optimistic once again? How do we deliver on the daily needs that people are facing in a strong and better way that is also building for the future? And that's where sustainable finance, that's where the social innovation that you guys are bringing forward is going to be key to that. Because we have to understand that values-based profits and economic growth, that opportunities to do well and to do right at the same time, is what Canadians have always wanted and looked for, and you are a huge part of showing them that we can have it, and more than that, we can lead in the world right now. So thank you for everything you're doing. Keep it up.
Way to go. Well, you heard it right here from our Prime Minister, who it's open season on new ideas, innovation. Keep it coming. Prime Minister, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a great conference. Keep it up, and we'll see you next year. Merci.